Hello, welcome back to Living on Jesus Street. I'm Pringle Franklin, and this is our fourth session of our series on centering prayer. And we are going to create a guide for you to use from home. This will include a 10-minute centering prayer session that Father Nicholas Amato is going to lead us in. And we have left a chair open for you. I hope that you will join us, and I hope that you will return to this video and come back many, many times to this special chapel here at Mepkin Abbey. Father Nicholas?
Greetings. Some of you may be wondering what we do on a retreat. And the contemplative retreats that I lead always begin with some simple sitting in silence. The idea is to, in some way, have the ego move aside so that you can go to a deeper sense of who you are and who you are in God. And to do that, you're not left on your own to do that. To do that, we have two tools that we can develop, and there's a way of gently doing this so that you can be in the presence. And what's important to note is that the presence is a deeper sense of self. It's a deeper sense beyond just my ego sense. And so what we need to do is tend to the ego, which is a good thing to have because it helps me know who I am, how I'm responsible, what I need to do. So it's a good thing. But it needs to be placed aside so that you can enter this dimension, this grounding that is a deeper sense of who you are. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sit comfortably first. And this would be what we'd be doing at the opening session of every one of my retreats. So I'd invite folks and I invite you in the empty chair to just sit and sit as comfortably as you can and as erect as you can. And I would just ask you to first tend to your body by relaxing it. Remember, the body and the mind are what give rise to the ego. So we need to tend to both so that the ego can be placed aside and we can float or sail or soar or rest, or as Jesus would say, abide in him. So let's begin by just some deep breathing, taking breaths in as you fill your lungs. Let your shoulders go back and your chin go up, expanding your chest cavity. And then just relaxing, letting the air out slowly as you relax your forehead, soften your eyes, unclench your jaw. Very good. Now breathe deeply again. Fill your lungs, shoulders back, chin up. And relax your forehead, soften your eyes, unclench your jaw, and just feel the stress leaving you. I'd invite you to do this 2 more times on your own. And as you're doing it, notice how much more relaxed you are with each set of breaths. So we've tended to the first principle of the ego, the body. The body's relaxed. And now we go to the mind. I'd like you or invite you to surface a word or words, no more than 4 syllables, that are a symbol of your desire to be with God. That longing you have for God. What word or words, let's call them sacred words, would symbolize that desire? If I were to think right now, those words might be, I am yours, or be with me, or give me strength. Surface at least 4 syllables. Continue to breathe deeply. And now I'd ask you to synchronize the words to the breathing. So I'm saying, I am, I breathe in. Yours, I breathe out. I am yours. When you're able to, just let go of the words. Continue awareness of the breathing. When you're able to, let go of the awareness of breathing and allow the ego to step aside and then float or sail or sink or rest or abide in God, in God's presence. When you're distracted in the next 10 minutes, or when you start thinking, am I doing this right? Or, oh, this is wonderful. Any thinking at all, go back to your words, your breathing, your floating. And you may have to do this a succession of times because, well, we do a lot of thinking. And we'll sit in silence for 10 minutes using a prepared program that I'll talk about later. Very gently return to an awareness of yourself in the room. If you want to keep your eyes softened, that's fine. And I'd ask you to recall your sacred word or words. And remember that they were a symbol of your desire, of your longing to be with God. And they're also a symbol of your desire to live out of that presence. For contemplation is not just about us in the presence, but bringing that presence to the world, to others. So the words then are a symbol of your intention to be with God and to live out of that presence. Things will pop into your mind to do, ways to act, creative ideas about healing or caring for others, sensitivity to others' needs. That's all part of the empowerment of grace. So in this little reflection section, what was your word or words? When you were distracted or thinking began, were you able to return to the words, the breathing, the floating, the letting go? And finally, I would just ask you, did the time go quickly or did it go slowly? In Greek, we speak of two words for time. One is chronos, and from which we get chronometer, and that's moment by moment time. So it's watching the pot boil, and we know how long that takes. Versus kairos, which is participative time, engaged time. So if the time went slow, you were probably grappling with thoughts or distractions. But now you've got tools to deal with that. Words, breathing, letting go. If the time went fast, then you can be assured there's some sense of awareness because it's timeless. Being in the presence is timeless. You don't experience time. What I find is that very often I get lost in the presence in prayer and I lose track of all time. And I'll go on and on and on and on and perhaps miss an appointment. So there's something called Insight Timer. And it's an app, if you have a smartphone, it's an app that you can download for nothing. And then you can plug in, different chimes, different lengths of time. And so what I do is I plug in, it's Insight Timer, INSIGHTTIMER.com. And what I do is I plug in a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening. And I have bells at the beginning and at the end. But at the 15-minute mark, I put in a clapper that just goes clack, clack. And that's to remind me if I'm thinking that I need to go back to awareness, that I need to use my tools. So often I don't hear the clap, but if I do, then I know, I've been snookered by my thinking and I need to get back to this. So that's it in a nutshell. Remember that this is about you experiencing a deeper sense of who you are. A deeper sense than ego, thought, body. That's a self that is in God. And the two things the mystics tell us is that when you're there, two things happen. One is you know you're nothing. And that's wisdom, because you're in God. The second thing is that you know you're everything, and that is compassion for the world. So you're an environmentalist and you care for nature, not because you're a good citizen, but because you live in the presence. You forgive, you heal, you show compassion, you care for others. You love your enemies, as Jesus would say. But that's not a muscle that you've honed. It's the way you live out of the presence, because you're everything. So that's it in a kind of a 10-minute nutshell.
Well, sometimes when you come out, you feel like you've had a great night's sleep. Not that you've been asleep, but you're so refreshed. And I hope that you feel refreshed as well. Thank you, Father Nicholas.